Just off of Trent Avenue in Spokane, Washington, a small operation makes its mark in a business that hasn't seen the light of day in nearly 90 years in Washington state. Owners Don Poffenroth and Kent Fleischman are trailblazers, intent on making their mark in a craft industry that is both old and new, that of distilling handcrafted spirits for an increasingly discernible public, hungry for a new and exciting taste experience. Partnering in a business that is highly regulated by both the federal and state government, these fly fishing buddies, skilled in brand development and marketing, hatched a business idea to try something different, something that they would eventually call dry fly.
We weren't sure what we wanted to do. We just knew that corporate America was starting to close in on both of us.
I had been involved with a brewery in Montana, so I understood that brewing side of the business. And up to the point that the product goes in the still, that's exactly what it is it's a brewery. The distilling part was not hard to pick up as far as how to actually run and make that still work. The hard part was getting the recipes developed and then making them consistent every time.
Licensing a distillery business through both the federal government and the state of Washington is no small task, taking dry fly up to 18 months before it could distill a drop of spirits.
Building the distillery, getting that license, that's the easy part. Getting those products into the Washington state system and getting them to move in that system, that's the hard part. We're probably the most regulated human beings in the city of Spokane, and that is just a function of the business that we're in. And it's a revenue situation. Distilled spirits create a huge amount of money, both for the federal government and for the state of Washington. So people are very, very protective of those industries.
Built on a business model that reveres locally grown ingredients, Dry Fly has managed, with the help of local representatives, to pass legislation to define craft distilling for the state of Washington. With the new bill, craft distilleries will enjoy lower licensing fees and be able to offer tastings and sell small quantities of spirits of their own production at the distillery.
We wanted to help define what craft distilling was in the state of Washington. So we defined that as an agricultural practice, and we also defined a manufacturer in this category as a manufacturer that uses 51% Washington-grown raw ingredients in their manufacture. So again, we wanted to tie to the resources of the state, because there are a lot of ways that you can shortcut or cheat this business, and we wanted to make sure that small producers in this state were taking advantage of the awesome resources that we have here.
With over 99% of the ingredients procured from Washington growers, Dry Fly is currently working toward the 100% mark by making deals with some local area farmers for their botanicals.
We start with receipt of grains that are soft winter wheat grown about 20 miles south of here. These are cooked, and from that we basically separate the starches from the grains. We take the starches and we start converting those to sugars with enzymes. And then those are loaded into the fermenters that you see behind us, those big tanks, and spend a couple of days in there with added yeast, and that's what starts the fermenting process and turns that to alcohol.
Then we take it to the still, and the still, distilling is all about controlling boiling temperature. Our objective is to boil off alcohol and keep water behind. And the columns that you see behind us ultimately help us do that.
You know, back in the day, when the vapors started to rise through the still, they would call them spirits, and that's where the term came from. That stays today when you talk about alcohol.
Filling these French glass bottles that are meant to enhance the product on the shelf, Dry Fly packages them for eventual shipment to the state for distribution. All the work is done under one roof, creating a busy atmosphere every week.
We do everything through fermenting and distilling, but we also do bottling and packaging at the end of that 10-day process. And that requires us to bring in some family and friends. It's a little bit laborious, so we're losing friends, and most of the family won't speak to us now. So we're actually looking for family and friends to come help us bottle, if any of you out there want to do that. When we got into this business, we decided we were going to do this right. We were going to use all of the local resources that we could, and only those. You drive through eastern Washington, it's the most incredible view of the wheat fields that we have, and produces an amazing product. Why would you want to circumvent that or take shortcuts when everything you need to do something so fantastic is right here in the state.
As a distiller, we can only do so much. And part of the reason why this raw ingredient tied to our farming community is so important to us is because that's where our flavor comes from. And I think, and I think Kent will probably agree, we're in the flavor business. It's our job to make the best vodka and the best gin that we can that have flavors different than whatever else is in the marketplace. And we do that by choosing the right raw ingredient and then becoming very inefficient by slowing that process down and letting all those flavors move through. And that's our advantage. A big distiller can't do that. To have someone tell you that it's the best thing they've ever had.
Really?
I mean, it's a really good feeling thing, but at the same time, it's incredibly humbling to hear that. I never know how to answer that other than say thank you. I mean,
When people taste our vodka, for example, they don't expect to get a little butterscotch in the initial taste or a little chocolate on the finish. And that's just vodka. You can't find those flavors in vodka out there because of the way it's made. The way we make it, we allow those flavors to come through. They're not masked by those fusel alcohols. So you can taste this beautiful wheat that is in this state. And it's just the way we make it. And we wouldn't do it any other way.
true that.